Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live event, Fertile Ground Spring Survival Guide, Tips, Tricks, and Resources from Proven Winners at Garden Centers. My name is Patrick Coleman, editor of Garden Center Magazine, and I'd like to start off by thanking Proven Winners for sponsoring what promises to be a lively and educational discussion today about how to prep your business for the spring rush. Proven Winners, of course, known for great plants and great education, so that makes them a great fit for today. Before we get into it, a couple of housekeeping notes. First, a reminder that we are currently accepting submissions for our annual Top 100 list. So if you have not submitted your garden center yet to be considered for that list, you can at gardencentermag.com. And we'd also like to remind you that registration is currently open for the Garden Center Conference and Expo starting August 18th through 20th in Nashville, Tennessee this year. So we're building an exciting lineup of speakers, including Katie Elzer-Peters of the Garden of Words, Becky Paxton of the Garden Media Group, Lindsay Chavez of Forever Arrows Garden is joining us, and Neil Anderson of Gardens of Babylon. And actually, Gardens of Babylon is part of our amazing tour in Nashville also that will include Bates Nursery and Garden Center and more Garden Center. And everyone joining us today can get a discounted registration by using the code FERTILEGROUND, all one word, at gardencenterconference.com when you register. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm pleased to introduce today's panelists. We're going to go in reverse alphabetical order of last name. I think that's how we're going to do it today. Today, joining us is Megan Zaruzin. She is the owner of Potted Charm, a boutique Proven Winners Garden Center in central Illinois, so not far from us here in Cleveland, Ohio. She specializes in container gardening and focuses on simplifying plant selection and care so customers feel confident during the busy spring season. At Potted Charm, she helps take the guesswork out of gardening through curated container combinations and clear, practical education. Proven Winners plants play an important role in her approach, allowing her to recommend plants that perform reliably and help customers enjoy success throughout the season. Also with us today is Jake Scott, General Manager of Piedmont Feed and Garden Center. Jake is a seasoned leader and innovator in independent garden retail, serving as General Manager of Piedmont Feed and Garden Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. With deep roots in the horticulture and green industry, Jake brings a unique blend of hands-on retail experience, team leadership, and customer-first strategy to every aspect of garden center operations. At Piedmont Feed and Garden Center, Jake focuses on cultivating a culture of continuous learning while leveraging through thoughtful merchandising, strong supplier partnerships, and authentic community engagement to drive growth and relevance in a competitive market. He's passionate about sharing practical research-driven ideas and help garden centers retailers solve real-world challenges, which I hope he'll be doing today. Well, I know he'll be doing today. There's no hoping about it. Also joining us today is Susan LeClaire, owner of Black Forest Nursery. Susan is the second generation owner of Black Forest Nursery in Boscawen, New Hampshire. Susan grew up surrounded by plants, learning the business from her family's roadside stand and turning it into a vibrant garden center known for its plant diversity and friendly customer service. When she's not helping customers or leading her team, she's at home tending her own garden sanctuary and spending time with her beloved animals, her dog, cat, chickens, and Trace, the horse. Whether she's planning something new or simply enjoying the company of her furry and feathered friends, Suzanne's love for nature and community shines through in everything she does. Susan believes in blending tradition with innovation, always striving to make her nursery and her community a little brighter and greener. So welcome all of you to today's discussion. And before I ask you the first question and we get into it, I'll just remind those who are joining us and watching that you can use the Q&A feature that it's at the bottom of your Zoom screen to ask questions during the discussion, and we'll address them at the end when we have time. So welcome everybody. I appreciate you all being here with us today. I know that it's spring for some of us, and maybe some of us are still feeling like we're trapped in the winter, but we're all thinking about the craziness to come. So, my first question, and I'll just throw this out there to all three of you, um, is what is the one thing, if you can narrow it down, what is the one thing that's crucial to preparing your store to make the most of the spring rush? Is there one thing that you can think?
I mean, just tidying up all of the back end stuff. So anything from like getting your carts ready, making sure all your water lines are good, especially here in the Midwest, like we don't just make sure nothing froze and everything's good like that. And then we really work on our flow. Like this time of year, we'll do walkthroughs. If we're adding a section, we just make sure, everything flows. Can two people fit in an aisle at the same time? And just making sure everything flows really well for us. Those are some key things that we really work on right now to make sure we get prepped well.
Excellent, Jake. How about you? You tuning up your carts, other equipment. This is the back of house stuff that customers aren't necessarily going to see, but definitely help operations. What are those things that are crucial to you?
Yeah, it's the little details. It's walking the garden center. It's looking with almost like your customer's perspective or a different set of eyes. Whether that's bringing someone else in, someone who's not in your business every day, or just even yourself training yourself to look at different things that you wouldn't normally look at. For us here in North Carolina, spring comes a little sooner, so we are, this week is kind of, we're starting to flow with a high of 78 today and a low of 56 this evening. It's a little different. But being not only taking care of all the behind the scenes stuff, repainting benches if they need to be repainted, putting new tops on tables if they need it, pressure washing concrete, putting gravel down in areas that are muddy from the winter. You realize some low spots and throughout the garden center where customers are going to be interacting or walking, little things like that. For us, another big thing is staffing a little earlier than you would think. I try to have all of our staff in at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the real rush happens. And that's so that they're already trained and ready to go, but also having some of those extra hands on staff help to get some of that stuff prepared in advance, resetting departments, redoing layouts and those kinds of things. So, yeah, just doing whatever you can to prepare yourself so that when the season arrives at your location, wherever you're at in the country, you are ready to go 100%, and your customers don't feel like you're playing catch up or that you weren't ready for them.
Absolutely. Suzanne, how about you? You're probably still digging out from the massive storm up in the Northeast. Are you still like how far away are you from spring, and what are you working on now to prepare?
I'm hoping that we're only about 3 weeks away. I'm hoping to get annuals in for before Easter. And that for New Hampshire, that's always a maybe. We can get blizzards right well into April and
Yeah.
it can dump 12 inches on us. So never know, but it was a tough winter up here. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good spring and a little bit early of a spring so we can get in on Easter. Um, but I would echo Jake, a lot of what Jake said, which is get everything done that you can possibly do over the winter. Don't wait for good weather to do tune up on carts. Um, and I would also echo, I would tell my staff all the time, put your customer glasses on, walk the garden center through the eyes of the customer. What is the customer seeing? Sometimes we see something every day that we no longer see it anymore, but it's really not where it should be, or it doesn't look as presentable as it should. And the customer sees it. And so putting on your customer glasses, walking through your garden center is really important. I think the most crucial thing for getting ready for spring is staff. Not just hiring, but for me, I know that the biggest asset I have at the nursery is my staff. And I made the decision a few years back to just pay well, to pay above maybe what I'm even comfortable with to ensure that my staff stays. Because if you have a staff that's back year after year after year and they know how to get the garden center together, everything comes together so much more quickly and so much better with a lot less burden on either yourself, the owner, or the general manager, or your department heads. If your department heads came back, instead of retraining year after year after year, how do we do this? It might seem like a simple task, but sometimes if they don't know where you're starting at, what your expectation is, um, it just takes more time. So I've made it the number one priority for me to retain my staff. And
Hmm.
I've never had a year like this year where I'm done hiring. It's February, and it was just last Saturday I finished hiring, including cashiers, which has always been a challenge for me. And that's because so many of my staff is still with me. So I think that staffing is hugely crucial. And then signage, because signage helps the customer get through the nursery on their own, requires less of staff intervention when you're trying to get other things done. So those are early things that I like to do.
And Suzanne, are you closed for a period of the year, or and how long are you usually do you not have staff on premises?
Yeah, we used to be closed for the winter, and I miss it because I loved it. I loved my time off and my hibernation. But we did an expansion about 4 years ago, which gave us a climate-controlled building, which we never had before. So we're open all year, all winter long. And let me tell you, I'm way too fat. I have way too many staff on right now, which was a conscious decision that I made. Um, and it's a little bit easier this year because we have a lot going on. We have a lot of projects happening at the nursery over the winter. Um, but I'm too fat, and I'm okay with that because it just means that when I need the people, they're there. So
Yeah.
um, we have other revenue streams that we've created for winter, in essence, just to try to pay payroll.
Yeah.
I operate at a loss in the winter, and even though the goal is to be in the black, I've accepted that the pros to that outweigh the cons.
Megan and Jake, how about you? Are you all open during the winter? I imagine Jake, you probably are, given the climate. Megan, Illinois, I'm not sure. How about?
Um, so we're actually so we're open until middle of June,
Okay.
so April through June, and then we're done until September for a fall rush. And then we close again. And then we'll open up for holiday open house. We do it one day in the winter. And then we do container installs for a bunch of homes and businesses for an additional revenue stream there. And then after that, usually by December, second week of December, we're done until, I mean, not done, all the back end stuff that happens for the next year, but we don't open again until the middle of April. So,
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we are here in North Carolina Zone 8, so we are year round, but also being a part feed store, that's, obviously helps with revenue throughout the entire year, even when people are not thinking about gardening. But we've really utilized a lot of our staff. We have a decent amount of retired individuals who are okay being laid off in the hardest part of the summer or in the dead part of winter, knowing that they have a place to come back to when they do want to return to part-time employment and when we're looking for additional staff. So that's helpful in that regard too. And we also, this past year, we adjusted our summer hours. We realized looking at transactions per hour, our initial open hour of the day, June, July, and August, in the past couple of years has been really slow. So we just decided, hey, let's try it out and see what happens. And so changing our opening hour to 10 instead of 9, what that allowed me to do was bring in some part-time garden center staff who can just water plants, and not have to be customer facing for a couple of hours in the morning to get all the watering done. So that takes some of that burden off of my sales staff. But then also too, when you reduce hours like that, when you've got a staff as large as I do, I mean, that cuts almost 1 to 2 full-time employees off of payroll when you take away that hour every morning 6 days a week across all of your staff. And so we were just upfront with our staff. We sat them down and told them that, we have to lean up a little bit when things slow down, and we want to retain everyone. And to retain everyone, that means we all have to kind of work across the board, rather than, it's just not fair to reduce one or two people or let go of one or two or lay off a few here and there. So for us, that was a good solution to kind of combat some of that summer when the heat is here and people aren't thinking about plants as much, and looking at our hours and making adjustments in that area.
Absolutely. How big are your staffs right now? Each of you, Jake, you say you have a pretty large staff right now. How many
Yep.
folks do you have on?
So going into spring season, we're going to be at 21. That's all of us on payroll. Year round in the off season, we're hovering anywhere from 12 to 13. So yeah, we go up to max around 21 or 22 people. And that's across high school part-timers, for weekend staff, to retired individuals, full-time, part-time, all of us on payroll.
All right, Megan.
We're a whole 5.
All right.
Yeah. So 5 part-time with us. We are a lean, mean machine. We just try to keep, so it's me and then 4 others. And I have a daughter who turns 12, and I just told her, "Hey, you're gonna be on the payroll this year, girl, or you're
That's
gonna
right,
be a
yeah.
staff member, watering plants." But yeah, that's just that's part of it. I think we're just in year 6, so just still getting our feet wet with staffing and how to manage all of that stuff. So eventually, I'm sure we'll add more whenever I'm ready to delegate a little more. But until then, we're just lean, and it works great for us right now.
And Suzanne, you said your staff is feeling maybe a little big right now. How many people are you talking?
We have about 15 right now. And then in our busy season, we're up at 28 to 30.
Okay. So when you're talking about the folks that you've either retained through the winter, Suzanne, or folks that are coming back, Megan, and Jake, if they are new, or maybe if they've even spent some time away, I mean, spring, even for somebody who's not in the business, spring seems like it's pretty. The last time I saw spring was a long time ago. It feels like ages. So I don't know that I would be confident saying, "Oh yeah, I remember what this is all about." So how are you training your employees, or reminding them, retraining them about how to best support those customers who are going to come in ready to buy, ready to shop? What are those things where that you do to sort of reestablish that baseline of knowledge, or help those first timers prepare? Suzanne, let's start with you.
Sure. The first thing that we do, which we're actually doing this Monday, is our Proven Winner certification.
Mhm.
That's a yearly ritual for us. And at that time, we'll tack on cashier refresher for all of the greenhouse staff that might jump onto a register. They also get, we've made some lengthy videos about basics of horticulture that go to all new employees. And our older staff has that as well. So they'll watch that. And then when we start unloading plants, well, before that, we will do like watering refreshers with all of our different departments. And when we're unloading plants, we spend the time to talk about the plants that we're unloading. So whether it's returning staff or it's a new employee, a lot of times there's so much to know about all the plants, and new plants are coming in. So instead of always talking about like what was the latest thing we saw on TV, we'll talk about, hey, look at this amazing plant. Did you guys know that this can take full sun or full shade? And we educate as we're working.
That's great. Megan, with the smaller crew, how many of them are coming back year after year? And what kind of preparation do you do with them before the spring rush hits?
So all of them, this is our 6th year in business, and then all of them have been with me for the whole time.
Wow,
So
that's
um,
fantastic. Yeah.
all part-time, but typically, and a couple of them really didn't know much about one of them was a stay-at-home mom. She's like, I need something to do all water. I'll do whatever. So she joined with us, and I really, focus on the Proven Winners certification. I'm like, if anything, watch this. I've sent her some of the Proven Winners University videos because, why recreate something that's already out there that has knowledge on watering and sunlight requirements and all of the things. And then I always have them touch every spot of the garden center. So when they're unloading, they know where everything's going. And we're a little bit different as like all of our Super Petunias are not in one space. We have like combination kits in a certain space. We have 30-second planters in a different space. And as long as they know where those pieces are and which ones that kit gets shade and that kit gets sun, they can help and be more beneficial to our customers. So we just kind of refresh all of that each year. And like Suzanne said, talk about any of the new plants, that we love and that are coming in and ones that we really want to market and be sure to sell on.
Excellent. Jake, are there refreshers there? Do you put on any sort of symposium or education prior to when things really get kicking up there?
So for us, we really I try to empower our staff to kind of take charge and lead others underneath them. With us, we do a department lead. So there's our garden center manager oversees all of our plant buying and materials. And then underneath that, we have department managers that are kind of the full-time staff member in each of those departments. So one in perennials, one in annuals, one in houseplants, tropicals, and then trees and shrubs. And so we start all of our garden center staff that are coming on or coming back to us. We try to kind of have them see a little bit of all of it, but knowing where that there's a dedicated person in each department that they can go to for questions regarding different things is very helpful. And it also empowers them if they don't know an answer when a customer approaches them on a Saturday, they know who to direct. Okay, this person's asking about color containers. I know to send them to the annuals lead, or this person's interested in a native, native perennial garden. I know who to send them to. So that's part of it. We also do the Garden Center certified program. So we do around the first or second week of March, we do sit down with all of our staff, provide dinner for them after hours and watch the certification video. Like Megan said, we'll utilize some of the Proven Winners University videos and just some other, good resources that we found online to help. But our biggest thing is hands-on. I try to put every new garden center employee with someone for up to a week, shadowing, observing, and kind of getting all the bread and butter from them rather than me having to hold a hand or the garden center manager feeling like, I think people are more intimidated when we put them with someone in a higher position. But if I put them with one of their colleagues or a peer that they can relate to and connect to, they tend to learn a little bit quicker. So for us, a lot of hands-on training, but also having those department leads that are kind of the expert in those different departments helps if we have questions or if they have questions, they know who to go to.
That's excellent. Now, do you all find that keeping somebody in a specialized role is more beneficial than, say, allowing people to move around the shop, and so maybe they can work as a cashier, maybe they're watering at another time, especially in the spring. I'm curious how often the roles or how varied the roles can be over the course of those busy times. And Jake, we'll start with you on that one too.
Yeah, I've done it both ways. When I first came on board here at Piedmont in 2021, I was very much under the mindset of everyone needs to know every aspect. And to an extent, it was helpful, but then I found no one was taking accountability in certain areas. And so we pivoted and went to kind of a department structure, and that has really increased our accountability, especially not so much from the customer facing side of things, but also just knowing that the perennials department are being watered appropriately and maintained, and especially in North Carolina, based on how our weather can be. Some days are a single watering day, some days are 3 times a water day, but you've got to know which plants can and can't take that. And so when you're just sending different people who watered in annuals yesterday and realized that a 4.5-inch pot needed to be watered twice on June, on a hot June day and send them over to trees and shrubs. And now they're, things that didn't need water are being waterlogged and things. So for us, I found that doing departments kind of help create accountability, but also create some structure that was more helpful for us. As far as our cashiers, we do try to cross train a lot of our garden center staff into our cashier staff as well. That helps. One, if there's someone calls out sick or something, we have that flexibility to move some employees around. But two, all of our cashiers, we try to get them involved in the garden center too, so that they see the plants that they're selling. And when, as most retail operations are, the cashiers tend to be the first place that a customer asks a question, and we want them to be able to know who to direct to, or at least answer the basic questions that they can not feel like they're being shuffled around or passed off to different people. So we do cross train in that area as well. But yeah, we've done it both ways, and I've found as of late, having some accountability, people like to have an area that they can own and be accountable for, and know, hey, this is what I'm taking care of, and this is what I'm going to make sure looks the best, and creates a little internal competition across the departments too, to make sure who's looks the best, who's got the new product this week, and keeps things rotated and featured as well.
Right, right. Megan, with a smaller group, I'm curious, is everybody a specialist? I mean, I imagine you have to be able to move and be where you need to be. Or is there more opportunity for being in a certain role?
So we are really heavy on annuals, and our staff knows a lot about the annuals. We have tropicals. We carry very few shrubs and perennials, and the ones we do carry, we just make sure that we know a ton about them, because I don't want to carry anything and everyone's like, I'm not sure, let me go check the tag. You know what I mean? So everyone pretty much knows a lot about all of the annuals, and then a little bit about all of the perennials and shrubs that are coming in. The one thing that there's one other person and myself, we're the only ones that will touch the merchandising. So where things go, how things look, because she's my second brain and she knows exactly where everything needs to go or how I want it to look. So she can match how I envision everything. And then everybody else just kind of will take care of, okay, Isabel says to put this here, put that there, and then they kind of do that, and then they're in charge of, they know how to water everything effectively, and fertilizing and all of that information.
Great. Yeah, and having somebody there who can share your vision, I imagine is really important. How about you, Suzanne, in terms of specialization or generalization of your staff roles? Where do you stand on that, especially as you're preparing for spring?
Sure. So my staff, they all have a home department.
Mm.
And what we find is after the busy season is over, my spring only temporary seasonal people, are done. And that gives a good opportunity to do cross training. So, the greenhouse is not nearly as busy in July as it is in May. So we'll take that opportunity to start cross training, maybe an annual waterer into a perennial waterer, or people into cashiering, or vice versa. So staff that is with me for multiple years are very well cross-trained, and they can jump into a variety of roles. For a new person, it'd be too overwhelming. New people have a job and they learn that job. If they stay with us, then they'll get cross-training happening. But overall, everyone has a home department and then branches out from there.
Right. So during the spring, as you are hopefully preparing for a flood of customers into the shop, do any of you have pre-opening rituals, things like that, to huddles that help orient everybody on the staff to what's going to happen that day, if there's any specials, things like that going on? What do those look like? Is there any yoga or light stretching, as people get ready to work that day? We'll start with you, Suzanne.
We tried the stretching thing. It didn't really catch on for us.
No.
No, it's a good idea. And maybe we'll try it again. We have a lot of whiteboards by department, which is an informational board that they check before they begin their shift. And then they go to see their supervisor who will do a team huddle, or if it's a small amount, it's a one-on-one. Um, and that kind of gets our day going. I will say one thing it goes a little bit with this, but one thing that we really strive to be is a high five environment. So a lot of connection, a lot of celebration. Even if it's just unloaded that truck in great time, guys, high five. Everybody gets a high five, creates that camaraderie, that sense of appreciation for for the work that they're doing.
Absolutely. Megan, any pre-shift rituals for you during the busy season?
Not typically. Typically, everyone kind of knows what they're supposed to be doing when they get there, and we just do it. So
All right. Hit the
not a
ground
ton of
running.
rituals. Yeah, just get it done.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Jake?
So we bring our staff in 15 minutes before our customer facing hours every morning. So that's helpful. It gives us that 15 minutes to get settled in, but also our staff can meet with either the garden center manager, or if I need to have a conversation with everyone about anything, it gives us that opportunity. And then our half staff days, or kind of mid change days, we overlap those if we can. So if someone was scheduled to leave normally at 1 o'clock, we may bring the person that's coming to to take over after them come in around 12:30. That gives us a good 30 minutes where if we need to have any, cross conversations about updates on what happened in the morning, or if we missed having a conversation with someone who wasn't with us before we opened in the morning, it gives us that opportunity before they kind of dive into their shift on their own, an opportunity. But yeah, never haven't picked up the stretching or the yoga as a benefit to get everybody on board yet either. But
Yeah. Um, Suzanne, you spoke a bit to this in terms of employee morale and making sure that everybody is feeling good about what they're doing during the spring. Because I'm sure that things could break down if somebody develops if they're getting too tired or they're feeling like that I'm not feeling appreciated in all the work that I'm doing during this busy season. So I know Suzanne that high fives are a part of that culture. What else are you doing to help boost that morale during the spring?
Sure. I think one of the big things is getting in the trenches with your staff.
Mm,
I find that people work harder, they work with a better attitude when they have a maybe not so great of a job that they have to do, not so pleasant, and their supervisor, their manager, the department head, or the owner, myself, is in the trenches with them.
mm,
Misery loves company, right? So nobody wants to do a crappy job by themselves.
yes.
And we balance that with everybody knows what they're there to do. So, if you're the person who's supposed to be digging holes, that's what you're doing. You're digging holes.
Mhm.
If there's a deadline that's imminent, or if it's like, say, it's a rainy, terrible day, and there's just a lousy job that has to get done, getting in the trenches with them to help get them through the bulk of it or over the hump of it, so it becomes a more manageable task. So they're not feeling like I always get left the really crappy jobs. Um, I would say overall, you could be doing a really unpleasant task. And if you've got people in there doing that unpleasant task with you, it creates a completely different environment.
Mm.
And people can actually be having fun and smiling and talking and laughing while they're doing something that really stinks. Um, so I would say morale, I think, is really based on being rewarded in more ways than just verbally. Verbal appreciation, super important. But if the only thing they ever get is verbal appreciation, I think we could do better. and then being there alongside them at times when we know they need a boost. I often say to myself, how would I feel if I was doing that,
Mhm.
by myself, or I have to do this, what would I be appreciating? And then try to do that for that person.
Absolutely. Megan and Jake, how about you? Same question. Employee morale, how are you keeping it up during the busy season?
I mean, I love what she said. That's great. Like just getting in the trenches with them because I feel that to my core. But sometimes it's even like, hey, I got your favorite fountain sodas today. Let's keep moving. Like little bitty things. It doesn't have to cost a lot. It doesn't have to be a big lunch. It doesn't have to be, but just to let them know you appreciate them or um yeah, a small little gesture like that can go a long way. But for us, I feel like I'm in the trenches with them. So they feel that. So
Yeah. Same thing. I especially in the heart of the spring season, I try to make an effort, even if I have to force myself to get out of the office at least once every hour. It's very easy sometimes as a manager to be stuck inputting orders or handling back end situations, things that a lot of your staff don't understand what you're doing. To them, you're just sitting in an office. But trying to get out and actually walk the garden center, check in on folks, that's a big deal. And I always tell my staff, I've done every job in this garden center at some point in my life. We all started somewhere. Yes, I have made a career out of this, but it started at the very bottom and has worked my way up. And I try to show that you can do that too. And so because of that, that means, yes, if I need to get down and pull weeds today in the gravel, we'll do it. If I need to be the one to run the tractor and load some bulk material, then I'll do it, whatever it takes. Filling in for cashier's lunches, that's a big deal. Just letting them know that, hey, I'm not opposed to stepping in wherever we need to step in or helping you out with whatever's going on. Because at the end of the day, we're all a team. Like Megan said, it could be, donuts on a Saturday morning. It could be buying lunch on a Friday afternoon for everybody. Just some little gesture. I'm very conscious of birthdays and anniversaries in our business. So I always try to make a big deal on if they're working their birthday or if it's the last shift before their birthday. I try to make sure that we, all of the staff are acknowledge it's your birthday. It's their birthday today. Bring in cakes or whatever. And then same thing with anniversaries, giving them a small gift and making those gifts tailored to them.
Mhm.
We get to know your staff enough to know what their favorite restaurant is or what their hobby is. If they're a reader, it could be a Barnes and Noble gift card. If that they shop meats from the local butcher shop down the street because you've seen them bring them in from their lunch break and put them in their refrigerator, make mental notes like that, and then buy them a gift card to those places for their anniversaries and things. And that also just helps them feel seen, and also that you have a more of a connection with them than just hey, you're one of my employees.
Yeah. You all mentioned, and I imagine that training is also essential to morale because obviously somebody who knows how to address problems or answer customer questions, they're going to feel more comfortable in the role and probably have higher morale. They're going to be less flummoxed and so you all mentioned the Proven Winners training support that allows you to help with that. What are some other resources from Proven Winners that help you prepare for the spring season?
oh gosh, there's an endless list. So our signage is huge for us. So I get with Caitlin is my rep, and her and Tabitha go to work for me. So we have signage of our plant this, get this. So we start that brainstorming in November-ish, kind of what the combinations we want to look for. And so when I get those finished, I send everything over to Caitlin and Tabitha, and they get everything exactly how I need it. They get banners, they get signage, they get bench cards, whatever I need. And then I just let them do the work. I could go in Canva and I could make all of this myself, but I don't have the time for all of that. So I let them kind of take care of all of that. And they already know what they're doing. They already have all of those images on their back end to make it easy on me. So we use them for lots of signage, lots of ideas. If I have an idea, I'll call Caitlin, I'll call Jess, somebody will help me figure out, what I need. We've used, Jess has recommended Judy Sharpton before, so we've used her in when there was some things we wanted to flow better at the store and I couldn't quite figure it out and I wanted to add a couple things. Jess was on it. She was just like, hey, you know what? Let's call Judy. Let's get her on the phone, do a couple Zooms, and we can get all of this figured out for you. So they have tons of resources if you let them, if you call them and just ask for help. They're there for you at all times.
That's great. Suzanne, Jake, what kind of resources aside from training are you tapping into from Proven Winners?
I would say everything that Megan said, just spot on. I've never experienced better, more complete support than through Proven Winners. Heather Pori is the person that I deal with, and she is so incredibly there with answers or will find answers. I would say lean on your people that are your contact through Proven Winners, and they get things done or they come up with answers for you. It is really remarkable, and a huge asset. I will say that Heather has changed the time that she has spent with me investing into me and my business has changed the course of how I do business. That's how impactful they have been to me.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's all been said, but yeah, signage is a big deal. Lean into the programs that they have. They've done the research. They've polled consumers. They have all of that at your fingertips. They can tell you what probably going to take off in your garden center, what you probably should have ahead of time. For us this year, we're doing a switch, especially in trees and shrubs. We're going with solution-based layout instead of just, here's roses, here's hydrangeas. And Proven Winners has helped with that, especially with their solutions guide and working with Jessica to get signage for deer proof or deer resistance. But also don't be afraid to utilize them for some custom material. We have found a very big benefit in their lifestyle signage, just simple posters that say welcome home, your home for Proven Winners. Those little things make it, take what is a national brand and people understand as a national brand, but it applies it to your local independent garden center and really makes it feel like, hey, this is not just something I saw in a magazine. This is the actual plant grown locally, but I know it's going to perform well. And so working in those programs, we've utilized some custom ads with them through Facebook and social media that have really been successful for us. I mean, we all know there are Proven Winner fans and Proven Winner followers all across the country, and Proven Winners has made it very easy to draw those people to your local store and get them in your door over Lowe's and Home Depot, and that we will take that any day of the week. And again, it's a partnership for a reason, and it sounds negative, but let them work for you. Utilize your retail representative to get the things you need to make sure that they're setting your garden center up for success, because at the end of the day, that's what, we're the bread and butter of all of what they do. And so they want to make sure we're successful so that at the end of the day, we can all be successful together.
Absolutely.
I
So
would
we've
also,
talked.
sorry, I
Oh
would
yeah,
also
go ahead.
piggyback off of that too and say, you can contact your reps and ask them, what are the content creators? Because they have an endless list of content creators. What are they pushing in next year? What are they going to be talking about? Because that is what people are going to come in and ask for. They are going to ask, what is Laura promoting? What's Laura's videos about? What are Jenny and Jerry? What are they selling? What's Janie selling this year, or what is she pushing? Everyone's going to come in and they're going to ask for those specific things. So we try to find out, like, what are they going to be talking about? Even if it's, like I said, we're annual heavy, but if there is a perennial that Laura is talking about, you better bet your butt we are going to have that in stock, because somebody is going to ask for it.
That's great. As we talk about plants, whether those plants are being let's say spotlighted by influencers and content creators about out there in the world, or whether they are specific to your region, their regional favorites. How are you determining your plant mix first of all, and second of all, what are the steps you're taking to get ahead of that order before your customers come and make sure you're not running out of stuff?
I'll start. For me, it's attending things like the Garden Center Conference, Cultivate, being in with growers enough to see ahead of time what are they excited about. Because
Mhm.
before we as retailers can get excited about something, a grower had to be excited about it 2 years in advance, and before they could be excited about it, the people producing it had to be. So just stay in touch with different publications or the American Hort or any of the companies that you are might be a part of or organizations that you're a part of. Well, that helps me stay ahead of the game to know, okay, what did I see at Cultivate in 2024 that I knew I needed in 2025 or vice versa. And for each year, kind of staying ahead of the game. But then also planning ahead with your growers, pre-booking those plants in advance. If you know you're going to do an entire end cap on on a new hydrangea, then make sure you pre-booked it, because what you don't want to do is buy signage, go all in on it, and then when you need it, they're not available. So plan ahead, look ahead. It takes a little investing, it takes a little bit of time, but that's what it's there for. And there's plenty of resources within our Garden Center magazine and American Hort and Cultivate and conferences and all of these folks that are kind of laying out the groundwork and showing us well in advance, hey, here's what you need to be growing, or here's what you need to have on your shelf.
Absolutely. Susan, for you, how are you addressing making sure that you have enough plants for your opening spring rush? How are you sourcing them, making sure that you have enough of what's popular in your region or what's popular from influencers and content creators out there?
Yeah, I am all about the pre-book. So, fall, I spend like weeks on master orders and literally going line by line. If I don't know the name of a plant, if I haven't seen something before, I'm looking up what it is.
Mhm.
Does it work for my area? Does this plant wow me? Does this plant resound with what I'm hearing my customers telling me they like, or what's trending? So everything for me is pre-book because spring is way, way too busy. Um, so a plant like Dianthus, I would say I probably have 500 on order right now that will come in through the spring. Something like lavender, I probably have 800 on order. It's an immense amount of plants to keep up with and all of the varieties, and practically impossible to do when you're in the middle of the season.
Right.
So, our suppliers know what they are growing, what they're going to have available, and taking the opportunity during slower seasons like the fall and over the winter to dial that in, get your pricing done, get all your pricing into the computer. And I would not be able to survive without pre-pricing. I actually cringe on the suppliers that deliver who don't have my stuff already tagged.
Mhm.
For the vast majority, all my stuff comes in tagged, and that is a complete lifesaver for us. I didn't do it I held off as long as I could, and then I can't imagine ever going back. I don't know if I would be able to survive. Um, and then I think it's also very important that we have a balance of the right mix budget wise for customers. Everything can't be expensive. Uh, Not everyone out there is at the same level. My mother always said, everything sells in the spring. You could bring in the ugliest whatever, and it's someone's gonna buy it. But you have to have something for everyone, and that includes something for everyone's budget. So not everything is at the low end, but having a good mix for your customers.
Yeah, definitely. Megan, you had mentioned one of your one of your main passions is merchandising, making sure that the store looks the way you want it to in your vision. Some of that is the point of purchase signage, and I imagine some of that is merchandising. You mentioned merchandising. Is there a way to build in for you add-on sales at the register or when people are picking up plants? How do you merchandise? How do you create those moments where people are adding more into their cart than maybe they initially intended to when coming to your store? And so then it's not just all about the plants, but it's about adding more along with those plants. How are you accomplishing that?
Sure. So we have POP for like all your hard goods, like your soil, your fertilizer, everything. And one of the things that we're really passionate about is stressing how much you need fertilizer. So that is a huge add-on for us. They're right at the checkout counter. There's POP around the store for it. And I talk about it nonstop on my social media about how important it is to fertilize. And people know it. They'll come in and they'll say, okay, where's the fertilizer? I need the fertilizer or the bug head distressor or whatever I'm talking about. I will have signage for it at the checkout counter, or your favorite tools. I have a section called Potted Term's Favorite Things, and it's all the things that I use to garden, container garden throughout the year. So those are just a few signage ideas that we've done for any add-ons that work really well for us.
Wow, that's great. Jake, how about you? How are you not only getting those plant sales out the door, after you make sure that you have what you need in, but how are you adding on to those?
So again, a lot of it comes back to education. I want all of our staff to know, hey, we're using these fertilizers in the garden center to make sure our plants look the best. We also sell them at retail. And just having that little bit of knowledge when when you're checking out with a customer, interacting with them, and it's like, oh, we hear it all the time. The plants look so good at the garden center, and then I get them home and they just do not look the same. And it's just educating your employees so that they can educate your customers to say it's those add-on things. It's the water soluble fertilizer. It's a planting package with trees and shrubs that's setting them up with a planting mix of a starter fertilizer and a bag of mulch that's going to ensure that they're planting it properly. We can't take it home for them and do it for them, but we can at least set them up and give them all the resources that we're using to make sure that our plants look the best, and just turning those into retail sales with add-ons. For us, the fertilizer company that we sell the most of, we get the sample packets. A lot of them sell a sample packet. Sometimes we'll include one at checkout with a petunia hanging basket, and say, hey, use this next week, when you water, and then into the 2 weeks after that, they come back because they've not seen, it's engraved in them. Oh, they were using it at the garden center. I used the free sample. Now I have to come back and buy the container of it to keep my plants looking as good as you can all year. So it's those little types of add-ons like that really help increase transaction at the average transaction sale. But also that's, we're in the business to set people up for success. And so we want to make sure we're educating them and letting them know what products they need above and beyond just planting the plant in their container or in their landscape.
And I really do think that customers, they want to be told what to do. They tell me what to do. Tell me how to make this look like yours all summer. So if you tell them I use this fertilizer, they're probably going to buy that fertilizer.
So I want to make sure that we get to some of the questions that we have coming in from the audience, and there are quite a few. So hopefully we can get through them. So I'll start with Ida, who is a new garden center manager. Congratulations, Ida, to you. Ida is wondering about hand watering over the operations, and how much of the resources does that take from both staff and time? How much are you hand watering versus having automated systems? I'll put that out to all the panelists. If any of you are particularly excited about answering that one, go ahead.
We have multiple ways of irrigating and watering. So we have drip irrigation, we have sprinklers, We have misters, so sprinklers being over a large area, misters being over a small area, and then hand watering.
Hmm.
I'm always trying to be more efficient in my staff's time. So as much as we can reduce hand watering, we do. Drip emitter is also the best way to conserve your water. There's the least amount of water waste. Sprinklers just suck my tanks down from water. Um, so it's finding that balance of what can you do in certain areas. Some things just have to be hand watered. A lot of annuals are hand water for us. All of our perennials are on misters, save like end caps where that mister may not get out to the edges. But drip emitter, everything that we can do is drip emitter. I will say there in the springtime, however, drip emitter can also be a little bit cumbersome to get around for customers.
Mhm.
So good snow melt, because we have town water and we have our own wells. We go to town as a backup for our wells if they start running low. We will sprinkler large areas in the spring. And then as our stock shrinks after we get out of springtime and into summer, where then it's getting hotter and the water demand is more, we will convert areas from sprinkler to drip emitter.
Mhm.
Saves on water, saves on staff time.
Anybody using flood tables or anything like that? I know flood tables are out there as a watering option. Anybody on the panel using those at all, or any other interesting methods for solving that problem?
We do not use them.
No.
No, we still hand water everything. I've just found, to set our garden center up to be an inspiration, as you may or may not see behind me, it's impossible to have setups where, I can have everything on a drip irrigation or whatever. So
Mhm.
hand watering is important to us. I utilize our staff in a way. For example, I've had some staff who are very early morning risers, and they would much rather start their day as soon as the sun comes up and come in before the rest of our staff in the summer and get everything watered that needs to be watered, and then they're done before the hottest part of the day comes in. So
All
you
right.
just have to play around with, know who your resources are, and just structure things differently. But that's really set us up in the summer. Here in North Carolina, our summers can be kind of hot, so having someone who's willing to come in and work that early morning shift to handle all that initial watering, then all my sales team, when we are customer facing, my sales staff can focus on selling plants and not having to hand water everything, at least until maybe in the afternoon when it might need a second dose. But as we all know, no two plants next to each other on the bench need the exact same amount of water. So it's kind of, for us, hand watering is still the best solution, but we're not as large as some garden centers. So I could understand if we grew anymore, we would have to do something different. But our size, we can still justify hand watering. So
All right. Emily asks about marketing. So from watering to marketing here, uh, Jake had mentioned some marketing opportunities through Proven Winners, but Emily would like to know what other marketing tactics are you using for the spring? How are you starting out this season? Are you flooding the social media zone with information? Are you using your Instagram accounts? Is there even radio or print ads out there? How are y'all um, promoting your business to get people in for the spring?
So right now we're just doing a lot of social media, and more of it's like inspiration, like spring inspiration, like what combos are going to do well together. What is Proven Winners combos that what are the ones we're going to be carrying, or things like that. Typically, sometimes we'll do a radio ad, but normally that's if we have like an event coming up. So we have an event this spring, but I probably won't do a radio ad until probably 2 weeks before that. So really right now is just social media platforms giving inspiration for spring. So
for us, it's very tailored marketing. We still do print marketing in the fact that we are using our print marketing to bring in new customers. In our community or where we're located, we have a company called Talk of the Town. It's a coupon booklet that goes out once a month. We utilize them in the spring to bring in. So we're hoping to land new customers who maybe have just moved to the area or don't know that we're right down the road. So that print marketing is tailored to bring in new folks. And then in the garden center to reward and market to our existing customers, we've really utilized our text message marketing and our email newsletters. That really helped to kind of keep those folks coming in on a weekly basis and lets our regular customers know what's going on, what's new in the garden center each week. So making sure that everything's tailored a little bit. And then on our social media side, as we all know, social media algorithms change every 2 days. So we really just try to keep our social media tailored to anyone and everyone. So whether you're viewing me from across the country or right next door, you're seeing what's pretty in the garden center and what we've got to hopefully draw you in if you're local. I don't want to have 1,000 followers that can't shop my store. So I don't worry too much about boosting things or promoting or paid ads on social media and things like that. We just really want to capture our local audience and get them to come in, because once they're in, they tend to buy.
Excellent. Suzanne?
We do like a constant contact newsletter. We don't blitz their box all the time so that they hate us, just enough, a few times a month. Facebook is a big one for us. We're very active on Facebook, Instagram, newspaper, and in addition to newspaper, a spin-off of hometown papers is what we have here in New England and New Hampshire, which I find a lot of people like to read their hometown paper. So we advertise in that. And then just our reader board, our letter board that's out on the road underneath our sign, we change it twice a week. So we always keep it fresh and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We have 15 to 20,000 cars driving by every day. So we keep it changed up.
Fantastic. Well, I think we are at time here, so I want to thank all the panelists. Megan, Jake, Suzanne, thank you for joining me this afternoon. It was a great conversation. Great to talk to you. And I wish you all the best spring. And same for everybody who joined us today watching out there. I hope that your spring goes wonderfully, if it's here now or if it's coming down the road. So from all of us, we hope you have a great afternoon and a fantastic spring. Thanks again to Proven Winners for sponsoring this live event today. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Patrick.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.